Cozy games have become an entire new genre over the past few years, and a very large part of that is due to the huge success of indie farming game Stardew Valley. It's got a charming art style, easy to understand mechanics, addicting gameplay loops. It's an easy game to just drift away and relax with for hours on end, for most people. Well, on the surface, Stardew Valley is a cozy farming game. There's a deeper layer, one that yearns to be a game about min-maxing, creating a fully optimized factory of a farm that churns out millions in profits. Many players will dabble with it, but few will fully commit. I am one of those few who wanted to do everything in Stardew and complete the ultimate challenge. Not once, but twice. I've achieved perfection in 2 of my farms, and today I want to analyze everything there is to analyze about this journey. Why I did it, how to do it, why it's even there, whether it was worth it or not. All these questions and more will be answered in this video, which was about 400 hours in the making, so sit back and get ready for a deep dive into the most stressful cozy farming game, Stardew Valley. And let's start with talking about this cozy facade a little bit more, though it's a lie to call it a facade. At the end of the day, the vast majority of people who play Stardew are there to relax, build a neat farm, maybe enjoy some time with their friends in a co-op farm. Because you're on my quote-unquote epic gaming channel, I'm guessing you may be a little more inclined to not be a player like this, but it is the target demographic. And I think Stardew's success is because of how large a target demographic this is. Video games are often looked at as these intense experiences that require perfect inputs and your full attention, largely due to the popularity of big online competitive games, which is really a lot of what the world outside of gaming only knows. But Stardew is different. Everyone has their own comfort game, but Stardew Valley is built to be that comfort game. Of course, it borrows plenty from other cozy titles, very inspired by Harvest Moon and Animal Crossing, but I think it just does what those games do better and to a greater extent. It's the full package. And now, with the long journey it took to get where it is, and the huge commercial success it's gained, it is definitely the go-to cozy game. If you ask literally any gamer, hey, what's the most popular cozy game? It's gonna be Stardew Valley, without a doubt. And it's well deserved. Concerned Ape is an awesome developer, and Stardew Valley is an awesome game, despite anything else I say in this video. For most people, and for me to an extent, it provides such a colorful world to escape to. And that's not a particularly easy thing to do. As someone who's studying game design right now, a lot of work goes into keeping your players coming back. And I know numerous people who have hundreds, even thousands of hours in Stardew, so clearly it's doing something right. In a time in the world where everything seems so chaotic, the digital world is so loud and overwhelming, Stardew really knows how to drown all this out and just give you a place to be. It's all about control. The player can do what they want in this world, something lots of us cannot do in our real lives. But, and of course there's a but, at the end of the day, there is something more to Stardew. It caters to these people that just want to relax, but I think another part of its genius design is how it caters to people who really want to optimize. There's a saying in games that players will optimize the fun out of your game, if you let them. And this is 100% true in most cases. Most gamers will play in the most efficient or easiest way, basically, and it's a big challenge for game devs. You want players to play in the way you intended, but sometimes this isn't always the most fun way. Take probably the most infamous example of this, Skyrim. While there's a huge diverse list of characters and classes, why does everyone always end up doing a stealth build? Because it's the easiest, even if it's the most boring. And Stardew definitely does fall a little victim to this. Once you figure out the crop in each season that gives the best profit, why not just plant literally only that? Well, sometimes this is what I do, I won't lie. But Stardew does make an effort to counter this. First of all, it is once again a cozy game. In the grand scheme of things, you are not on a time limit. Sure, you can talk about the whole farm raiding thing, but it's not like the game ends after that. You have an infinite amount of time to plant everything you want to without any repercussions. And there's character quests in the community center that require specific crops each season, encouraging you to plant a huge range of plants instead of just one. So Stardew kind of has a bit of both sides, and it's really just up to the player which way they want to go, as it should be. However, there is a lot in Stardew Valley's design that specifically caters to this highly optimized completionist style of player. Mainly that the quote-unquote goal of the game is to complete these lists that it gives you, the first one being the community center. They're not necessarily the definitive goals of the game, but, well, okay, yes, they essentially are. That's what everyone ends up doing. And there's all these lists in your inventory that are just begging to be completed too. Like the fishing chart or shipped crops. Stuff like that is literally just created to give the completionists something to work towards. And this goes on for the whole game, all the way to Ginger Island, where you now get these absolutely abysmal golden walnuts to collect. But then there's the ultimate list. Once you've collected 100 walnuts and made it into Mr. Key's office, there is the perfection tracker. And from the moment I set eyes on this, I knew my life was doomed. Perfection includes a total of 11 tasks that all must be completed to essentially 100% Stardew Valley. There are a few outliers, but it is essentially doing everything you can in the game to gain perfection. And if you weren't already sure, yes, there will be Stardew spoilers in this video if you care. These 11 items include the following. Ship at least one of every item, build all 4 obelisks, build the golden clock, complete all monster slaying goals, reach max relationships with all villagers, reach level 10 in all skills, find all Stardrops, cook every recipe, craft every recipe, catch every fish, and collect all golden walnuts. It is an absolutely monstrous list of things to do, and all of them combined will test every single skill you've learned in your gameplay thus far. Perfection is the ultimate test of dedication, patience, and probably a little bit of craziness. To even begin attempting it, you need structure, planning, efficiency, probably a spreadsheet or two. Or if you're me, you're just gonna use your Apple Notes. I'm lazy. It's not something you stumble into by accident. You might have a good start on some of these things, but at the end of the day, perfection demands intention. You have to think seasons ahead and optimize everything. But what makes it challenging isn't just the checklist itself, it's how the tasks intersect. You might need a certain fish to complete a recipe that you can only catch in one season, or a crop with the same restriction. Everything in Stardew is connected, and perfection means mastering this web of systems. So this probably sounds pretty crazy if you're not already familiar with it. You may be asking, why do people even want to get perfection? It's probably not for the in-game reward, which we will get into later, but let's just say it's a little underwhelming. I think perfection is more about the satisfaction of seeing everything click into place, of knowing that you've experienced every corner of this game that was built with so much care. That's how it was for me at the start, but then why the hell did I do it a second time? I think that was more to prove to myself that I could do it better. But now, how about we discuss the actual process? From beginning to end, here's my experience actually achieving perfection twice. Let's start with the easiest things and then move on to the harder ones. I don't exactly know which is the easiest, it really does depend on how you play, but there's a few that aren't too bad. I don't have much to say about reaching level 10 in all skills. Honestly, you have to get through so much game to get to the point where you unlock perfection anyways. There's a pretty big chance that you will already have this one, or at least be very close to getting it. But if somehow you don't, which would be absurd, there's a 100% chance you will achieve it getting all the other things on the list. How about the Ginger Island classic, collecting all golden walnuts? Now, a key point in this whole section that will affect things a lot more than people might think is that when I first got perfection, it was on my Nintendo Switch like a few years ago. The most recent time was this year, very notably after the 1.6 update, which genuinely made the experience so much easier. Golden walnuts on Ginger Island, in theory, are fun. It's just a bunch of secrets and mini side quests to do across the island. And I don't think I despise doing it on my Switch. There's a few notoriously evil ones to get, and yes, these ones suck a lot. But it's not gonna make me quit the game or anything. Although I can assure you I was not looking forward to getting all of them again. And to my very happy surprise, I discover the Golden Joja Parrot, who will find all remaining golden walnuts for you, for an extremely high price based off how easy some of these are. But believe me, money is not a problem if you do everything right. So this was a clear purchase for me. I essentially got to skip all the grindiness of golden walnuts, and I cannot say how much I appreciate that. Thank you so much, update 1.6. Next, build the 4 obelisks. To start, these things do not come cheap. In total, it will cost you 3 million to buy all 4, which is a lot, don't get me wrong, but compared to the other things on the list, it's not a real challenge. The real challenge is the resources you also need to build these things. All of them require iridium blocks, and a lot of them. The desert obelisk requires 20 alone. That is a lot of iridium. I am of the opinion that iridium isn't super difficult to get. All it takes is like 1 or 2 deep trips into the Skull Caverns and you will be set for a while. But if you don't know the optimal jade farming strategies, this can be a little bit difficult. Apart from the iridium, 3 of the 4 are not too bad to complete. You just need some like earth crystals, coconuts, stuff you will have a large amount of by now. The only one with difficult items is the island. Oh my god, I despise dragon teeth. There are 2 main ways to get them, both of which are very annoying. First is just to go through the entire volcano every day, searching for these boneyards where sometimes they will spawn, but not all the time. And the boneyards themselves are pretty rare. Not to mention how annoying the volcano is to go through every day. Enemies are pretty difficult and the terrain is just hard to get around with all the lava. It's frustrating because you need so many of these things for a bunch of different things in perfection. And the other way to get them is to defeat the lava dragon enemies, I don't remember what they're called, who have a chance of dropping them on death. Without the ring that increases enemy drop rates, this is very painful as well, as these enemies are already inherently annoying to fight, so it sucks. It's a grindy process that I felt took me ages to get the 10 I needed. Plus, you need the 10 bananas, which, unless you get really lucky, need a banana sapling purchased from the island trader. And guess what you purchase it for? 5 dragon teeth. Oh my god. Collecting this item genuinely made me go a little insane. But the one good thing about all of this is that the obelisks are pretty nice to have. It saves you a bunch of money because you can get to the desert and island free of charge, and a lot faster at that. Combine it with the very expensive, but very nice return scepter, and you will be traveling around the valley as fast as possible. So yes, annoying grind, but nice payoff at least. The pure test of money-making ability, the golden clock, will probably be one of the last things you get when you're going for perfection, just because of how long it takes to amass this amount of money. 10 million is how much it costs, which at the time when I usually buy it is like half of my total earnings of the entire game, which is pretty wild to think about. It's nice to have, it's nice to not worry about weeds destroying my lovely crafted farm, and I like not replacing fences, but in no world is it worth that much money. It's not difficult though, because once you're completing everything else on the list, just make some profits along the way and you'll be fine if you save the money. My strategy? Fill up Ginger Island with ancient fruit. And I mean fill it up. Then, when you harvest, take all the lower quality fruit, stuff it in kegs, sell the wine, and bam! You are making millions in a single season. And yes, ancient fruit is 100% better than star fruit. It takes a long time to get enough, but once you do, they produce in half the time, and you never have to worry about buying seeds again. I love you, ancient fruit. You're awesome. Now let's discuss the Stardrops. These ones are pretty easy as well. There's a total of 7 of them available in the game, and they do give a quite helpful reward of eventually doubling the energy available to you once you have all 7. Genuinely, none of them are too hard to get. You naturally get the one for catching all the fish from catching all the fish, which you also need for perfection. There's some at like specific events like the fair, but that's not too hard to get either. But there's one I'm forgetting. The only difficult star drop to get is the one you get for donating all items to the museum. The first time I got perfection, this was genuinely the bane of my existence. Throughout the game, if you're digging up artifact spots, you'll probably have a pretty good start in the museum. But how do you grind for these when it's the last things you need? You don't. You can't. On my Switch, I had to wait first of all for any artifact spots to actually spawn in the right place. Like some artifacts only come from specific spots in specific locations on the map, and it's no guarantee there's gonna be one there any given day. And then these stupid artifacts literally have like a less than 1% chance to drop, which when you put all together is actually absurd. The chances of getting these are so astronomically low. Even if you only have like one left, it could take a whole year to get. There are other ways to get some, like from geodes, fishing treasure chests, or artifact troves, but none of these are particularly easy to grind out either. Artifact troves are probably the best shot, and I definitely did utilize them, but it honestly didn't help much. So going into perfection the second time, I was feeling down. I was not ready to grind out a less than 1% chance spawn rate over the course of months. But then, update 1.6 blessed your heart once again. Treasure Totem genuinely saved me from losing my mind the second time. This item, which you receive from Foraging Mastery, literally spawns 16 artifact spots. 16! And it's not even hard to craft. I was done what took me weeks in a single day with this thing. Sure, the drop rate is still low, but you can spawn infinite spots at your own will. It is genuinely a blessing. It made the entire experience of perfection a second time so much better. Unfortunately, the remaining items on the list are all what I would consider the worst and most grindy things to do. Complete all monster slaying goals involves completing the 12 or so eradication goals inside the Adventurers Guild. All these really involve is killing a certain number of a few types of enemies. I don't know, it's not a terrible mission, but it is just grindy. A few of these are easy, and you will probably complete them over your time in the game naturally. 1,000 slimes is a lot, but slimes are very easy to find. It doesn't take too long to grind out. Duggies can be a little frustrating to find, but you only need 30 of them. Same with rock crabs, although you need 60 of them. 500 dust sprites is a lot, but they are also a great way to get coal, and the reward for killing the 500 is that ring I mentioned earlier that increases enemy item drop rates. Very helpful for dragon teeth collecting. The only one I find myself always struggling with is the 50 pepper rexes. This is because they generally only consistently spawn on prehistoric floors. There is a small chance of the odd one spawning in other random floors in the Skull Caverns, but if you're going for the 50, you need the prehistoric floors, which of course, have a super small % chance of spawning in the first place, and might not even spawn many Pepper Rexes in them anyways. The key to grinding floors in the Skull Caverns is to have a bunch of crystallariums producing a bunch of jade, which on Sundays can be traded to the desert merchant for staircases. Then you just go floor to floor till you find a prehistoric one. It's not a terrible process, although crystallariums are not the easiest things to craft, so it can be difficult getting a good, steady supply of jade. Still, once you have that down, the monster eradication goals will go relatively fast. Next up, the infamous catching of all the fish. Except I don't think this one is too infamous actually. With a little bit of planning, it's not too hard to do. I guess a lot of planning actually. I made an entire personal fishing guide to help me out, and help me out it did. Lots of fish can only be caught at certain seasons in certain places, sometimes with certain weather. And this can be daunting, but if you just compile a list of all the ones you still need and these conditions, it's not too bad. Plus, Ginger Island sometimes allows certain fish to be caught no matter the season or anything. Plus, there is a special bait that also allows the same thing, although I really never had to use either of those. The most challenging part of this to me is definitely the legendary fish. They also meet those conditions, but the catch is that they are also evil to catch. Like, you need to buff yourself with so many dishes of the sea to catch some of these guys. They are pretty much impossible if you don't. So yeah, fish are annoying, but not too bad. The one that I personally always struggle with is maxing out villager relationships. I know people who literally just do this naturally because they love the NPCs in this game, and that's fair enough. There's always a few people I max out, Linus, but the vast majority I kind of just leave to rot in the dust. Like, the entire relationship system stresses me out so much for some reason. I hate that the hearts are constantly slowly decreasing, so unless I'm actively trying to grind out hearts, I don't feel a need to gift people things. Which, of course, makes the process of actually grinding out the hearts a lot harder when I get to it. You can give a max of 2 gifts to every villager every week, which makes sense, but is not really that many. There are other things you can do to help, like simply speaking to them every day, taking them to the movie theater, completing missions for them, or, most importantly, do not forget birthdays. These give such a massive boost to relationships that they are essential for completing them. It does feel good to see all the cutscenes and learn everyone's backstories, so it's a kind of fun process. It can just be overwhelming if you leave it all till the end, like me. The only thing I hate is finding these goddamn people. I love NPCs like the Wizard or Krobus, who literally are in one place the entire game. But there's some NPCs who genuinely disappear. Like, once you have the island resort and community center, then everyone can be in so many different spots, it is a pain to pinpoint characters. If I ever was to mod Stardew, the first thing I would do is add a mod that shows me the current location of all villagers on the map. Now let's get to the last big 3. Cooking, crafting, and shipping. Cooking was by far the most annoying one to me the first time I got perfection, just because I didn't do my research. I didn't realize that I would have to actually look at the TV for recipes, and that this entire recipe cycle is on a 2-year in-game loop? So I was screwed, basically. I had to add an entire 2 years onto my perfection cycle to get all these recipes, not even mentioning the actual process of cooking them. Luckily, 1.6 for the win again. With the addition of books, one of them actually just automatically unlocks all Queen of Sauce recipes. Would that have been nice to have the first time I got perfection? At least it's there now, though. The remaining recipes pretty much only come from maxing out relationships, which you need to do anyways. And for the most part, cooking them is easy. There's a few that need a specific crop or fish that only comes in a few seasons, but it's not too bad to deal with, especially with all the tools I mentioned earlier to manipulate these strict season rules. There is also an item to allow Pierre to sell all seeds at any time too, and any plant will grow on Ginger Island, if I didn't mention these already. Shipping every item is really not too bad either, but there are a number of things that can be annoying if you forget them. For the most part, I do just recommend keeping a copy of every item you have. Like, instead of just shipping everything, keep a few spare chests just to hold the random stuff that you may never need, but maybe you will, who knows. I know the first time I got perfection, I completely forgot about fiddlehead ferns, which spawn only in spring or on some prehistoric levels or on Ginger Island, but I didn't really have a lot of those accessible, so it just took me a long time to finally get my hands on one, but second time around, I knew to store one for later. Caviar is kind of annoying. You can get lucky and buy one from the merchant, or just make a sturgeon pond, which is usually what I opt for. Dinosaur mayonnaise can be annoying as well. It's the same idea as grinding for pepperexes, pretty much. I thought I remembered radioactive ore being hard to get, but it really isn't. I think I just misremembered. I think one of the biggest ones that screws people over is probably the ostrich egg. You can guarantee get one to spawn in one spot on Ginger Island, but if you accidentally lose that one, it can be difficult to get another. I always recommend making an ostrich incubator first and just hatching an ostrich so you have an infinite supply, but technically you do only need the one for perfection, so to each their own. It is very satisfying to fully complete the shipping list. And now, the final thing needed for perfection, and in my opinion, probably the most frustrating: crafting every item. This one is annoying for a number of reasons. First of all, you need to get the recipes for every crafting item, which in itself is pretty difficult. But unlike cooking, some of these things are also difficult to get the ingredients for, and that's where they can really suck. I don't think there was any difference between my first and second perfection with this one. I didn't enjoy it during either. Recipes for crafting are got in a number of ways. Some are bought, some are earned from leveling up, some are from specific events like the jack-o'-lantern at Halloween that everyone seems to forget. But there's just so many random ones that you need to know and keep track of that make it frustrating. Like the deluxe scarecrow needs you to get all the rare crows, which are often tied to these in-game events. I mention these a lot because there is no alternative if you miss them. You need to be there or you have to wait a full year. no exceptions, or the ones you need key gems for, which require the completion of some very difficult quests for Mr. Key. The ones about like the mines and stuff aren't too bad because you can just use staircases, but it does take a long time and a lot of missions to get all the gems you need. But I think the recipes that piss me off the most are the special order ones, because once again, this is just passing time to grind out RNG quests. The special order board has a number of different quests that appear, and at least you get to pick between two, but some of these quests are useless, while some give you crafting recipes that you need for perfection. You can complete some that don't repeat to increase the chances of the one you need to do from appearing, but it's just annoying to cycle through so many just to get the ones you need. At the end of my second perfection, literally all I needed was to craft a solar panel, which you get the recipe from Carolyn's special order, and I would literally wake up, immediately go back to sleep, just because I needed to loop through weeks until I finally got this one quest. And it sucks to do that after trying to spend every day so efficiently for the past 100 hours. And then crafting them is annoying too. You need a bunch of iridium, a bunch of radioactive ore, of course you need more stupid dragon teeth to build the mini forge, and like 1,000 fiber to build the Statue of Blessings, which was a lot more annoying than I thought. Although the statue is super awesome, definitely recommend making it. But that is all. Individually talking about them, they honestly don't sound that bad. But playing the game, I knew I was going insane. It's the balance of combining all these things together at once and choosing what to prioritize, while making sure you don't miss out on any essential things you need to do, which could put your entire perfection back a year. It is, bottom line, stressful. Which is wild. I think the contrast is really interesting, how Stardew is really made to be this cozy game, but when I'm playing it, it's probably one of the most stressful things to do. Like, I think getting perfection twice has genuinely reprogrammed my mind in this game to literally do everything in the most efficient way. And honestly, it kinda sucks sometimes. It is the cozy farming game that I can no longer see as a cozy game. But back to perfection for a minute here. In the end, is it worth it? I mean, clearly, to a degree, I did it twice. In-game, all you receive is a statue that gives you infinite really good items. But once you're done perfection, well, there's not really much to do anymore. It's the common problem with 100% completion rewards in-game. There is also a special dialogue and cutscene that you can find, which I do actually really like. It's a good reflection on the game as a whole, and the credits really leave just like a happy feeling in you. It's just fun, even if it's small, for everything you've done. I don't think people do it for the reward though. I think people chase perfection because it's a way of saying goodbye on your own terms. Stardew Valley doesn't really end. There's no final boss, no final ranking, so perfection is this self-imposed finale. It's a way to look back and see how far you've come. To know that, yeah, you really did everything that you could here. It's closure in a game that is intentionally endless. And when you do finally reach that point, it's a strange feeling. It feels good, for sure. You did something that almost no one else who plays this game will. But on the other hand, there's this quiet emptiness, like finishing any great game that you've sunk so many hours into. You've lived in this world for so long that leaving feels weird, but usually pretty nice. It is good to get a break from the stress after so many hours. I am of the opinion that if you're prepared for what it holds, perfection is 100% worth it. Will I do it again? Maybe. God, I hope not. But there is another update on the way, so who knows? At this point, I definitely would not count it out. It's funny though, because my favorite part of Stardew is probably actually the farm and house building aspect. I love having a cool farm layout and a really nice house interior, which almost has nothing to do with perfection at all. I really don't get how my mind works. And I should mention that perfection technically isn't the be-all and end-all of Stardew. There are plenty of other things to do that aren't needed for perfection, like get all the Steam achievements or all the in-game achievements. A few of these are not tied to perfection at all, or the infamous Journey of the Prairie King, which I have beaten, but I think it is actually impossible to beat this game without dying. There's no way a human being can do this. So there are still other things to do, but from the game perspective, I do think perfection is the closest to 100% done as a player can get. But now, time for my final thoughts. I love Stardew Valley. It's in my top 3 games of all time. Apart from this perfection ordeal, it really did give me a virtual world that I needed at the time, and I won't forget it for that. So I do understand both players of Stardew, because I was both of them at some point. And I think that's the real genius of it all. Stardew Valley's perfection system quietly bridges the gap between those two types of players. The ones that just want to relax and live their cozy little farm life, and the ones who crave goals and structure and like a final completion. It's not easy for a game to satisfy both, and satisfy both well at that. You can play forever and never even think about perfection, and still feel fulfilled. Or you can be me, and be a little insane, and try and complete everything in the game. The fact that both of those experiences can coexist in the same game, and feel equally rewarding, is kind of amazing. I think Stardew really doesn't get enough credit on how much its systems allow the player to play how they want. Not even in the moment-to-moment tasks, but how they want the entire experience to go. It's such an expansive and well-designed game, and I'm so happy that it gets the credit that it deserves. Well, I did talk about a lot of what annoys me with this game. As a whole, I still love it, and I know I will be going back to it probably for the rest of my life. No matter what you know Stardew Valley as, it is an awesome game, and I really appreciate everyone who stuck around and listened to me discuss my experience with it. Thanks for watching, and I hope I will see all of you guys again. Make sure to check out some of my other videos if you like this one, and have an awesome day. Bye!